The People's 105.5 FM brings to you the Development Report. Development Report dissects current development issues, sustainable development goals, climate change, women and health, water environment, human progress, and societal well-being with experts from different fields. Development Report showcases impactful projects and initiatives aimed at fostering positive change. Development Report comes to you on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja every Saturday from 12:15 p.m. to 1 p.m. You can also join the program via telephone 0911 222 1055 or send us a WhatsApp message on 0911 112 1055. Development Report towards collective action in support of sustainable development. People's 105.5 FM. It's all about you.
Oh, People's 105.5 FM.
In the story of progress, every chapter of development adds depth, richness, and meaning to our collective narrative. From the smallest steps to the grandest strides, every act of development paves the way for a brighter tomorrow. Welcome to the Development Report on People's 105.5 FM, where we talk about pressing issues surrounding sustainable development. I'm all about everything development, from women's empowerment to children's rights, climate change, water resources, food waste, waste management, and more. I am Ifi Onyekwiri, and together we'll be coming close to our common good as a nation as we look into innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living. And I won't be doing this alone. We have an amazing guest in the studio, Mr. Atta Benson, who is the National Coordinator, Society for Water and Sanitation, NUSAN. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today? Yeah, great to have you in the studio. Yeah, all right. I'm talking about innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living. We're going to be having a full discourse on this, and you can actually do justice by sending us your contributions as we delve into the discussion for today. On social media, we are at People's 105.5 FM, and you can send in your contributions to 0911 112 1055. That's on WhatsApp. You can send in your contribution on WhatsApp via 0911 112 1055. And on telephone, you can actually call in on 0911 222 1055. Straight up, we'll be taking the development news stories shortly.
We inform, we educate, we entertain. We are the People's 105.5 FM, Abuja.
For the headlines of the development news stories, African Development Bank approves $100 million to boost youth and women-led businesses in Nigeria. UN climate change raises concerns for global climate efforts. Global water crisis threatens half of global food production by 2050. The news in details. The African Development Bank has approved a $100 million loan to boost access to finance for youth and women-led small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. The funding is set to support the Nigerian Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank Initiative, YEIB. Report says key components of the initiative includes an equity investment fund for startups, an ecosystem development fund to support business growth, and credit guarantee facility to reduce credit access barriers. Report says the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, is facing a significant budget shortfall with a gap of at least 57 million euros for 2024. This funding deficit is set to represent nearly half of what is needed to support the essential climate negotiations and the implementation of agreements among nearly 200 countries, with the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change total budget for 2024 to 2025 set at 240 million euros. Diplomats warns that the shortfall could disrupt global climate efforts, especially as the organization relies on both mandatory and voluntary contributions from member countries to fill its core and supplementary funds. A major international report released by Global Commission on the Economics of Water, funded by the Dutch government and facilitated by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has warned that the worsening global water crisis could put half of the world's food production at risk by mid-century. The report shows that already nearly half of the world's population faces water scarcity, with climate change and poor water management compounding the crisis. Meanwhile, experts say addressing the issue requires urgent action from government and businesses, with recommendations for more sustainable farming, better water treatment, and international collaboration. And that's it on the development news segment. Keep it right locked here for more engaging segment. And before we actually go on a music break, I want our guest, Mr. Benson Atta, to react to the news of global water crisis threatening half of global food production. So could you explain to us the similarities between this and the reason why, water crisis could actually hit hard on food production?
Thank you very much. Water crisis, we know the food sector is one of the areas that requires water. Okay. When we talk of the food sector, we're bringing in the agricultural sector into it, and there we're talking about farming. And particularly where you have dry season areas where you have drought or low rainfall or infrequent rainfall, you're likely to have challenge with their food production. And in this case, and even take not just that, take some parts of the country. There are some places where they started planting. Immediately they saw the rain, and after some time the rain ceased. Wow. So with that, all the crops will have been scorched, and then they will lose those crops they have planted. Then they have to revisit that exercise again. So these are some of the things that affect food production and affect farming or agricultural production generally.
Amazing. Thank you for that input. We'll go on a music break right now. When we come back, we'll be discussing the topic before us, innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living.
The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green, can't you see? I can see all the harvest is ready, 'cause he told me so. It's green and it's all mine. As the clouds go gray, the thunder roars and the earth sings. Season's just beginning. Sunlight it hides as the clouds make way for the pouring of my blessings. I will not be afraid. I see it now, I understand, I know. So I embrace it, dance. In the rain, it's for my seed to grow. For every prayer and every seed I've sown, Lord of the harvest knows I'm reaping back 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green, can't you see? The harvest is ready, 'cause the Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. It's green for me. Standing alone can be a heavy load, but my vows I won't be breaking. Though my heart is aching, I got a word and I won't let go. At your will I'm seeking, so I keep on believing. I see it now, I understand, I know, so I embrace it, dance. Once again it's time for me to grow. For every prayer and every tear I've sown, Lord of the harvest knows I'm reaping joy 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green. Can't you see? The harvest is ready, 'cause the Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. I thought it was over, thought you were done with me, but we're just beginning. Whoa, my life is a journey. I will walk with you, I will go where you want me to. Yes, I will go.
We inform, we educate, we entertain. We are the people's 105.5 FM, Abuja.
It's still the development report on People's 105.5 FM, and I'm here with Mr. Atta Benson, who is the National Coordinator, Society for Water and Sanitation, NUSAN, and we're discussing innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living. Great to have you in the studio today, sir.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about your position as the National Coordinator for NUSAN. And how has it been with you? How long have you been here?
Okay, thank you. My position is just like that of a servant, because my organization is a network of NGOs, civil society, and community-based organizations working in the area of water, sanitation, and hygiene across the country. We have over 300 organizations registered with us, so we coordinate the activities and also see how we can support them where necessary to boost whatever work or program they have in their various location. In addition to that, we also work with different partners, stakeholders in the wash sector. We work mostly with government, development partners, and also private sectors.
Amazing. So it means this is your area of specialty, and everyone listening, you can throw in your questions, because this is actually a very big catch on the show today. All right, talking about innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living, could you just walk us, to tell us some of the most pressing water conservation challenges facing communities today, both urban and rural communities?
Because of, though it depends on where you find yourself, and sometimes, particularly within this period of rainy season, you see a lot of water around you.
Okay.
You see flood and huge amount of water, but can you drink such water? So when we talk of water, we are talking about water we can use, we can consume. Even though we have different uses of, we can put different water into, but the basic water, or safe water,
that's right,
is what we need for our life, our health, and our well-being. So that is what people go for first. And in order to continue to have this safe water, we advise people not to abuse or misuse the safe water, because if you have treated water that have been treated, which you can drink instantly, and you want to use it for washing clothes and doing other things, or for watering your garden, then you're abusing the water. So in this case, if you have potable water which you can use, which is meant for consumption, you should look for other means, other water, like other untreated water from the borehole, water from well, water harvested from rain or other sources, or surface water. You can use those ones, but protect those one that has been treated. Otherwise, if you abuse it, you have any choice than to fall back to untreated water and unsafe water, and that you know the implication on your life, on your health, and your well-being. And it also, when it gets out of hand, it affects your economy, it affects your business, affects everything about you. So,
well, I actually feel like there are some places where it's almost difficult to see waters that are not clean. While some people or while some communities are struggling to get clean water, right? We have areas where people use boreholes, right? So, because I almost feel guilty when you say don't use clean water to wash, so how do we control that? Because in courts, we might not actually be the reason for this, but we just find ourselves in places where, there are clean waters for me to actually use to, do other things apart from taking it into the body, right? So how do we manage that kind of situation?
Most times people misuse water because they don't pay for it. But if this way you pay for water, you really know how to manage the water you use and be able to know how many times you can use particular water you've used before, either to use it to scrub the floor, or use it to wash the floor, or use it to flush your toilet. So, because most places people don't pay for water and people get water easily, so that's why they don't care about the water. Whereas in places where there's drought or difficult, they have difficulty in accessing water. They know what they feel, so they know how to manage their water, and you can use a bucket of water for the whole day. You know how to manage it, but because you don't pay for it, you get it easily, freely, and you just pour it anyhow you like.
I've always been wanting to ask this particular question. Talking about people who use water or people who don't have access to clean water. For a community that, in quotes, is perceived as civilized. I'm going to use an example of Lekki in Lagos, right? I'm sure you've heard controversies. People talk about, the water is not clean and all like that. Why do we have situations like that for a supposed developed kind of area? I've actually been there, and I've had issues battling with water. And you see the way my skin is fresh now. It wasn't always this way, right? So I really want to understand why we have supposed very civilized area but still battling with water. What could be the reason for this?
Lekki is reclaimed area. Most part of Lekki were either river or sea previously, so they reclaimed. So with such, you may not get good water, because water you be getting might be salt water from the sea, because the sea seep through the ground, and to remove the salt there, they will have to spend so much to get the salt out, and so that's why to live in such area you have to pay so much for water, or have a special arrangement for water. You could remember sometime, I think early part of this year, there was serious cholera outbreak in Lekki, and that also affected the health status of Lagos, because Lagos was always seen as a place that is well managed, but for cholera to have come emanated from Lekki, not Ajegule, not Oshodi, then you start to wonder the implication and how severe such problem will have been, such challenge will have been. So because of the way, the nature of Lekki, so that is why you have that problem, and except the government make particular arrangement, concerted efforts to put either water treatment plant in place that will provide good potable water for the people within that environment.
Okay, I want you to take us through, what innovation, means for water conservation. When we talk about innovative water conservation methods, what does innovation, mean in that sentence?
Innovation means looking for ways through which you can conserve water. Means you can protect water and get it properly managed, how you can preserve water, and in this case, what the most common means of water preservation is the rainwater, because like in areas where they have though they have rain, but it's difficult for them to access the water table. That's right. So they resort to rainwater harvesting, and in this case, when you have when you're not sure of regular supply of water, so you know how to manage it. Even you don't waste water. Even if you have to take your bath, you have to measure the quantity. You will have known with the size of my body what quantity of water can I use to really clean me, and you don't. It's not a place where you get somebody to start turning on the shower and wasting water, or trying watering your garden and then just splash water anyhow, rather than come up with either the drip method or this water splash method. So you have to be very careful and see how, because the essence of conserving water is to ensure that the water lasts long and could also be used by many people and for many more days than just using it and finishing the quantity of water you have, and then you are left without water.
Wow. So this actually means for people who have access to clean water, they are actually privileged. It's not like there are not people struggling to actually get this water, because when you mentioned trying to know the quantity of water you take to have your bath and all like that, I feel like there are people who are listening or right in the country and really do not have problems with this, probably because they're living in a space where the water is being treated directly from the borehole. So, just pay your normal bill and you have water all the time. So I feel like it's a privilege. So I wanted to actually take us through, are there examples of how communities with limited resources in terms of water, can adopt effective water saving practices? People who actually do not have this privilege of, there are waters, I can get water as I like, or I'm living in an environment where I can easily access water. Because this is even one of the things I feel like when Nigerians are going to look for a house, right, for those who are renting a space, the first thing we're asking is there power supply? Is there water? Is there a good road, right? So I feel like if you have 2/3, you feel like, okay,
you can manage.
You can manage, yeah, exactly. So I wanted to, tell us, share, examples of how communities with limited water resources, can adopt effective water saving practices.
And apart from the rainwater harvesting, which I mentioned, the other methods of communities coming together to conserve water, that either making like either a dam or a dike where they collect rainwater. They collect rainwater that will last for some time, and they maintain, they ensure that they maintain or regulate how people use it so that you don't contaminate the water, because that is what everybody relies on. Even though some of these might have to treat the water or boil the water before they take, but at least they are sure they can get water regularly. And there are some places where they regulate what time, if they have there are places where they have a water challenge. They tell you what time, the time you can fetch water, and what quantity of water you can have access to. So with that, it
can actually help.
It helps. Apart from those who are located in areas where they can have access to stream water or surface water like river or so. Even at that, there's a limit to which they can put such water in, the use of such water into, because you can't drink such water except you treat it or boil it.
Amazing. So this you've given to us actually is something that we can actually, I think I can resonate with it. Getting water, getting rainwater and then storing it for dry seasons, or going to the stream or river, for those who live around areas like that. Would we say there are innovative ways to actually tackle this? Are there innovative? Because sometimes I hear people say, oh, there are technologies, well, we've not got into that part level in Nigeria, but I feel like there are actually innovative ways where people save water, and then use for times of drought, times of, no rain and everything, right? So are there really ways at which people can actually save water in innovative ways, even though we're not actually using these practices here in Nigeria? I think we're blessed as a nation, if you ask me.
Yeah, even at that, there are places like some part of Edo State.
Oh, wow.
There's some areas in Edo State where they depend on water harvesting, and this they have underground tank where they store this water.
The reservoir.
Yeah, underground where they store this water, and they could make a big big hole or a big dish, and
till today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where they store this water, and they, in this case, those who can connect it with pumping machine, and depending on the usage, or those others may have to fetch from it is regulated. So this in such areas are permanently connected to the roof, because anytime it rains, water goes down. Anytime it rains, it collects the water and keeps the water there for them. And other places, there are places where if they have stream close by, they can pipe the water to their community from the stream, and there's a way they can do it. So the water is pumped into their community, could be pumped into a tank or into an overhead tank, but it depends on how clean that water might be till the end, because in course of transporting water could also still get contaminated. So that's why the need for water safety plan comes in, how to ensure that they have their water from the time it is pumped till the time they finally use it or consume it. So there are a whole lot of arrangement that could be put in place.
Amazing. So talking about sustainable living, let's move to the urban areas now. I want us to talk about how water conservation contribute to sustainable living, especially in urban areas. How does water conservation, contribute to sustainable living for those living in the urban areas?
If they find themselves in location where they don't have access to regular supply of water or sufficient quantity of water, they have to regulate how they use their water. And that is where either they use go for recycled or reuse water. So in this case, you don't just flush your toilet with water that comes straight from the source. You may have a container where you have used water already put, from which you might have done or that either from water you've used to wash your clothes or clean, and then so instead of using the clean water, use such already used water. You reuse the water for all those other activities. And if you have garden or like you have a farm, you still use such water instead of just wasting the fresh water on the farm. So these are some of the ways through which people can also conserve water
in urban areas. Okay, amazing. All right, so before we go on a break, we're going to go on a short break right now. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about government policies, what role they actually play in promoting water conservation. And when we come back, we'll be having this conversation. Keep it locked.
The People's 105.5 FM brings to you the Development Report. Development Report dissects current development issues, sustainable development goals, climate change, women and health, water environment, human progress, and societal well-being with experts from different fields. Development Report showcases impactful projects and initiatives aimed at fostering positive change. Development Report comes to you on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja every Saturday from 12:15 p.m. to 1 p.m. You can also join the program via telephone 0911 222 1055 or send us a WhatsApp message on 0911 112 1055. Development Report towards collective action in support of sustainable development. People's 105.5 FM. It's all about you.
Development Report, and I'm here with Mr. Atta Benson, who is the National Coordinator, Society for Water and Sanitation, USAN, and we're discussing innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living. Alright, so we're opening the phone lines. You can send in your message on WhatsApp via 0911 112 1055. I take that again for WhatsApp 0911 112 1055, and on telephone you can reach us on 0911 222 1055. All right, can we talk about government policies? Could you tell us how, what roles do government policies play in promoting water conservation, and what types of policies do you feel could be effective to actualize this?
Government policy is meant to guide or regulate the use of the provision and use of water by all, because even the government themselves also need and uses the water. So it also depends on the type of water the government is providing, because if we start from the federal government, the federal government provides policy guidelines for states to adopt to their own purposes or to their own usage.
Yeah.
But the responsibility of providing services rests with either the state government or the local government. Even though the federal government also sometimes, not speaking for the federal government, but because I know some of their roles, provides those intervention where there's need and
yes.
feel the state are not forthcoming, and people's and the need of the people need to be attended to. So the federal government comes in to provide them such services. And also for the states, incidentally, most states these days don't really go for waterworks, big waterworks, which is supposed to provide water for the citizens, particularly in the metropolis.
Yeah.
So, and in most places you see the citizens resorting to self-help, trying to help themselves out
Exactly.
and providing water through boreholes and all that. So in all of this is the government is supposed to have policy to regulate all these practices, whether as what government providing water for the citizens or the citizens providing water for themselves. In addition to that, even if the government is providing water for the citizens, are the citizens going to pay for it? And there should be regulation and on how that guides the fixing of rates for the citizens, so that the citizens will not be overcharged for the water they are using or they are consuming. So these are where some of the rules or where some of the policy guidelines come in to guide the provision of such water to guide water provision for the citizens, and also in case communities want to provide water for themselves, how do they go about it? Which agency is responsible for that, and how do they work with these agencies? And also, we are also supposed to have the involvement or participation of private sector in provision of water. What are the laws protecting the cities and the private sectors, those who are coming to invest in the water sector? Mm-hmm. So how would their interests be protected? Are there enabling laws that could protect them? And is the environment, does the operators of the environment or the government in the respect law, is there rule of law, respect for rule of law? So these are all the things that play out in provision of service, and also getting people to get involved, because it is not everything you expect the government to do, and the government doesn't have the capacity to do everything. So this is where different partners come in to support and assist the government in this service provision. So those policies and laws are meant to guide them, the involvement and participation for these services to be provided.
Yeah, so when you mentioned the private sector, is it an anticipation that the private sector will come in as people who are responsible, or just as their own goodwill act for CSR, works and all like that? Is it something that should be, mandatory for them from your view, or is it something that should come from a goodwill position? Carrying out CSR, okay, let's take on action as regards water and all like that.
Yeah, that could come from CSR. Okay. So when private sector provides CSR, they're not doing business. They're only giving you what they can afford to give you.
So but you don't expect much.
You don't expect much. That is what they can afford to give you. But if you're working with private sector as business, that they're going to provide water for you for a particular period or a particular number of years, and at the end of the day, they would like to recoup the money, the resources they put into that into such business. And so that is business. So they have to, that's where the policies and the law come in, and they have to guide there'll be a regulatory agency that's like an umpire that oversees that everybody plays by the rule and nobody outsmarts the other person. Both the citizens get the right quantity of water, and the water being provided are potable water and the rest of it. So, but if these are not complied with, then you don't have a good service in such area.
Amazing. I really wanted to touch on climate change, because it's a pressing issue that has been on the lips of almost everyone who is interested in environmental issues and who is interested in sustainable development. So from your perspective as an expert in the water sector, how does climate change influence the need for innovative water conservation, and what are some long-term strategies for adaptation? Because I believe climate change has an effect already on the environment. We're already seeing some shifts, right? So how does this influence the need for innovative water conservation? And are there strategies, for long-term strategies, that can be put in place for adaptation?
Yes, see, climate change has come to stay with us, and there's nothing we can't deny that. So all we need to do is how to live and cope with the impact or the effect of climate change. So, and also it depends on your location, where the area where you find yourself, or what are the water challenges you have within that area, which you can identify this through research or through studies. Over time, you get to know the type of water challenge you will have, and which of them is caused by effect of climate change. And then you come up with possible adaptation measures to address this, either resorting to sinking of boreholes if the area is conducive for that, because there are places where no matter how deep you try, you may not get water. Yeah. So.
And just because talking about digging of boreholes, does this really have an effect on it? Because there was something that happened. You heard about some people call it tremor. In Pakwe area. And from some interviews that I've conducted, some people say it is because of illegal digging of borehole. People just wake up one morning, want to dig a borehole and all like that because they're in search of water, right? So talking about that, right, in the search of looking for water, are we authorized as a water person? You are the best person in place to actually answer this. Are people authorized on their own, regardless of if I bought a space, this is my land? Are people authorized to dig boreholes themselves, or are there permits, or are there things that give people authorization to actually do this?
That goes back to the government, and also depends on the environment you find yourself. If the government regulating the water sector already has some rules or guidelines in place, you can't just go in and start digging or sinking borehole, because you'll have just like you want to build a house. There are agencies that are responsible for allocation of land and also ensuring the stability of whatever structure you want to put in place in particular area. So the same thing applies with water. But if it's an area where anything goes, where it's a no man's land, where anybody can just go in, sink borehole and do whatever. Even even within Abuja here, we see trucks owned by some foreign partners. We don't know what arrangement they have with government, just going about sinking borehole here and there. So it depends on the law the government has put in place to check that, and the ability to follow it up and really properly checkmate that, and also applying the issue of transparency into it, because that also is very important. With the tremor, it is until the sector concerned really comes out with the research and findings to really determine what that was. So I might not be able to confirm if that was related to the sinking of borehole or tremor or whatever. But so it is the government sector that will determine that at the end of the day. But in all, apart from the modern ways of getting water or reaching water, even in the past, the traditional methods of conserving water, because I know in some places there used to be these clay pots. If you need water for a very long, this season, the period where you start having scarcity of water. So people keep store water, even the bigger container, you store them, and in some places they even use plastic to cover it, and also make sure that the water is not contaminated, and it could last them for as long as they want.
Amazing. All right, thank you so much for this contribution towards discussing innovative water conservation methods for sustainable living. And I wouldn't end this show without saying, if you find yourself in areas where you have easy access to clean water, you're one of the privileged people on earth, based on the conversation we just have right now. And I want to call it a wrap here, and we'll take a moment to celebrate community champions who are turning trash into treasure. We see you and we love everything we do. Thank you to our esteemed guests for sharing your expertise and insight with us, and a heartfelt thank you to the audience for also listening, and to my amazing producer in the studio with me, Mr. Hyacinth Akpan. Thank you, and Mr. Charles Kalu. Mr. Akpan, are you privileged based on the water issue? All right, so join us next week for another captivating episode of the Development Report, where we'll continue our journey towards a sustainable and more brighter future. Here's a quote to think upon: sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. I am Ife Onyekure. Do have a